Welcome back to the Manhattan Project. I am still Jesse.
And wouldn't you know it, I'm still Todd.
All right. Happy December.
Yes, happy December. December 1 here.
December 1. It is December. You know what that means? We made it through Thanksgiving.
Yeah, barely. I can see that.
Yeah. And on that note, I got a little bottle here. You know what this is?
I know.
You sure?
I know all too well.
I do too. This is some vermouth. It's an ingredient in our cocktail.
Yes, it is.
We're going to be talking about this today. Why don't you start it off?
Okay. So back when we were starting this project, Jesse and I decided to meet, and we were going to pick out all our ingredients, go through the process and task list and this and that. So he calls me one day and says, "Come over to my house. I've got some great bottles to choose from. I've got a great vermouth that I had never heard of." So we go to his house. I go to his house, and we're sitting there in his basement, and he makes us a couple Manhattans with Carpano Antica. What's that?
Might have had 5 Manhattans.
No, never mind that. That's not important.
Anyway.
So Carpano Antica is a premier vodka, premier vermouth.
Pardon the expletive.
Yes. So we knew early on that we wanted to go with an Italian-made sweet vermouth because that's what the original recipe called for.
Right.
And Jesse chose that because it is arguably the best, right?
It's one of the best for sure, and one of my all-time favorite Manhattans. It happens to include that as the vermouth in the recipe.
Right. So we made some drinks that night, and they were effing delicious.
Yeah.
And we had decided on that for sure. That was going to be our one of the premier vermouths. So fast forward a few weeks to my birthday party, and Jesse shows up, late as usual. Jesse shows up with his bottle of Carpano. So we had a lot of bourbon drinkers at my birthday party. So right. we bought a handle of the Four Roses. Not a handle, but it's a big bottle.
Four Roses yellow label.
Right.
So the basic Four Roses.
Right. So at some point, Jesse's slinging Manhattans, and he hands me one. And I'm like, what'd you put in this? He's like, oh, it's Carpano and Four Roses. And I'm like, something's off here. So I'm assuming he's done something wrong or he's done something to it. So please explain what happened here.
Yeah. So basically, not all, just like all whiskey is not created equally, the flavors aren't the same. The same holds true for the vermouths. And for those of you that are familiar with Carpano Antica, it is definitely a richer flavor, a stronger flavor. And what happened was when we were making the drinks with the Four Roses and the Carpano Antica was overpowering the whiskey. And you were basically drinking a cocktail that tasted primarily like vermouth.
Right.
So
yeah, and to that point, it's I don't know the best way to explain it, but to me it tasted like Campari, which is like a liqueur. And Campari has this weird, I don't like it personally, I don't know how you feel, but it has this weird thing where it sticks to your tongue and you taste it, it has a weird aftertaste. So
yeah.
I didn't like it at all. Was it horrible? No, but it's not a Manhattan that I wanted to taste.
Right. So we kind of went back to square one and we said, you know what, even though that makes a great Manhattan with the correct whiskey, we needed to come up with something that was going to make at least a good Manhattan with most whiskeys. And the Carpano Antica, as great as it is, unfortunately is not the one that's going to make a good Manhattan with most whiskeys.
And we're sticking to our whiskey forward process where we want the whiskey to be the star.
Right.
We want it to shine. So if you have something that's a little lower proof or maybe a little less, I don't want to use the word flavor, but a little less flavor, we don't want the vermouth overpowering it.
Right. So we tried a couple other things and ultimately ended up settling on the Martini Rossi sweet vermouth, and that is the nice thing about that is it's something you can find in almost any liquor
Everywhere.
store.
I've never not seen it at a liquor store.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and it's also a lot more affordable. You know, it was kind of a hard pill to swallow recommending you guys go out and buy, you know, a bottle of vermouth that could be 2 or 3 times as expensive as this, and maybe not even enjoy it. Next thing you know, you're stuck with a bottle of expensive vermouth that you're never going to use.
Yeah, and realistically, I mean, we're 2 guys here wearing hats, making Manhattans. Should we be using Carpano Antica? Probably not.
Yeah. So, anyway, so that's where we are. So, you know, I know a couple of you had asked us about the vermouth that we're using. So hopefully that sheds a little bit of light on that.
Yes, sticking with that point, we could get into the bitters and the cherries. I mean, originally it's the same thing. That night we had settled on.
Well, next time.
Okay.
We'll talk about the bitters because there's a bit of a story behind that as well.
Okay.
So let's save that for the next episode.
A few moments later.
But that being said, we did have some good feedback. We've had a lot of requests for some different things. One of them being a wild turkey. And then quite a few of you commented on using rye whiskey as opposed to a bourbon. So we wanted to kind of honor a couple of requests. So we're going to have the Wild Turkey 101 Rye and the Old Forester 100 Proof Rye.
Right. So to be clear, 101 means it's 101 proof.
Correct.
It doesn't mean it's like an intro to whiskey.
Yeah. Yeah, this isn't an intro to calc or something like that. So I'm going to be making mine tonight with Old Forester, and Todd's going to be making his with the Wild Turkey. And I think I'm done blabbing. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
All right. So Todd cheated and opened this bottle before we started filming.
How's that cheating? I'm being expeditious.
Yeah, well, y'all get a fresh crack for mine. All right, so same measurements as before. We're going to do 2 ounces of our whiskey. Glug, 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 glug. All right. I want to smell this. That smells good.
So this is my first experience with either one of these, so I'm pretty excited at this point. I mean, I've had, a million Manhattans made with ryes, but not these 2, so.
Yep.
This is new and exciting.
All right. We're always into new and exciting things. All right, 1 ounce of our Martini Rossi Sweet Vermouth. And 4 dashes of bitters. And we add the ice.
I've already started the ice process.
Oh, you have? You're cheating again. You might as well start stirring again.
Now, I've been working on this.
Hopefully we don't have to blur this guy out again. All right. Ready?
Oh,
Now you do have to keep me in check because I'll stir this thing for about 12 and a half minutes.
Yes, so we've noticed.
Yeah. So the goal again is about 30 seconds. I feel 30 seconds gives you a good dilution. It gets it nice and cold. And again, guys, we talked about the glassware that we're using. So we want this thing to already be chilled where it needs to be when we pour it into the glass. So I think
We
are
a boot.
there.
That's Canadian for about.
Thanks. And we didn't even plan that. That was like nice little play. All right, you ready? Make a couple drinks.
Bam. So now that these are poured, I have a little rant to go on.
Okay. I like rants.
Stirring. You're told to mix things up,
Uh-huh.
So this is counterintuitive for me, where you're just moving things around. But I'm going to get used to it. I might screw up my scrambled eggs this weekend, but I'm going to get used to this. You see how...
But you're going to be able to stir damn good.
Okay.
All right, so we got the Old Forester on the left, so I'm going to put that there, kick that over. I'm going to take your wild turkey.
Okay.
All right, so let's try we're going to try mine first this time.
All right.
All right. Old Forester. Cheers. Smells good.
It does. Really good.
It smells really balanced. Oh, wait a second. We forgot something. We can't forget these.
Oh.
Right.
Even though they're garnished, they do impart a little bit of flavor, so he's absolutely right.
I actually just like cherries, so...
Well, they have to go in there.
All right. Boom.
Bam.
All right. Let's try it again. Old Forester. We got to cheers again. You got to start over. All right. Oh, it's way better now.
Cherries. I love cherries. Wow,
that's good.
So much different than last week.
It is way different, which y'all already knew.
Yes.
So Old Forester to me is not the spiciest of ryes. Mm-hmm. It tends to be a little sweeter. You can certainly see the difference in the color, right? Way darker.
Right.
I still almost get like kind of a brown sugar note off of the Old Forester, even though it's a rye, and you do get a little bit of that rye spice, but it's not nearly as spicy as some of the other ryes that are out there. But I think it makes a damn good Manhattan.
To me, it's piney.
You think so?
Yeah. Like I said, the nosing thing is not my thing yet. I'm growing into it, but the initial taste is pine for me.
I don't know. This is pretty killer. This is very well balanced. I can taste the whiskey. I get a hint of the vermouth. It's nothing's really overpowering anything. I think it's a really well balanced drink.
Okay.
All right. Wild turkey?
Wild turkey 101.
Rye. Why? Because it's damn good, that's why.
All right. I'm going to put a corny filter on it.
Don't judge me. So just the smell of it already smells different.
Taste is vastly different.
Yeah, I don't get the sweetness that I got on the nose from the Old Forester.
Do you happen to know the mash bill on this?
Off the top of my head, I don't.
No. I'm picking up, by taste, I'm picking up corn.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Wow, it's much drier. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have the sweetness. You can taste the rye way more than you can in the Old Forester.
Right.
It's totally different. I don't know that I don't enjoy it, but I don't know that I also prefer it.
Okay, that's fair. Well, these are vastly different for two ryes.
Wow.
Of the same basic proof point.
You know, we make our cocktails the same way every time, but I feel like if you were to maybe swap out just the standard Angostura bitters for some jalapeno bitters or habanero bitters, add a little bit of spice to it, I think that might complement the flavor that I'm getting from this.
I haven't even given that any thought.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
So the bitters will be another episode. But
sure, yeah. So, yeah, I like them both. I kind of am gravitating more towards the Old Forester. I know we're not comparing them, but we're not trying to pick a winner, but I can't help it because we're drinking them both side by side.
No, we have two things side by side. How can you not compare them?
Sure, but I still want to be able to give an independent grade.
Right.
But I'm biased.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news where guys are looking for drama. You're not going to find it here with this, because I agree with Jesse. It's like Old Forester makes a better Manhattan. That's just where we are.
I 100% agree with that.
So now
I gotta try it again. Hold on. I'm gonna try it again.
All right. I'll wait here for you.
It's like It's almost juicy. I know it's weird, but it's like it's just so they're so contrasting.
Well, and that's why you don't chug a Manhattan too. You can come back to it.
I could chug a Manhattan.
I've seen it, but
is that a challenge?
That's not the point. So
next episode, Jesse chugs Manhattans.
I've seen it. It's not pretty. Don't even tune in for that. So we have to get to the bunghole scale.
All right, so I'm going to save that. Let's start off. I'd like to start off with the wild turkey. If you're good with that.
Sure.
So I think it's good. I think it's a solid drink. My preference is not this direction. I'm going to give it an even 5.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It is. It's not bad. And my scale, just to kind of put this into preference, if it was a drink that I would not drink, or I would drink, but I would probably never order it again, and not really enjoy it terribly much, I mean, I'm going to give it like a 3 or below,
okay.
Right? So 5 is a passing grade. 5, I think, is something that I would drink. If somebody were to order this for me, I wouldn't turn it away. I would drink it. If it was the only thing that was available, I would buy it.
Right.
But
point is, if you were to go to a bar or restaurant and they serve that, you probably wouldn't buy it again at that price point.
Correct.
Because that's
Correct.
a rye is probably going to be a minimum $10 drink.
For something like this, I mean, it also depends on the restaurant, the quality of the restaurant that you're going to. But I would say this is going to be somewhere in the $8 to $12 range.
Right.
At most restaurants.
Okay. So back to that. 5 is not going to be a winner. This is not a win competition, but that's not going to be high on the best scale. So
no, for
at this point, I'm just going to concede and go with the 5 with that too.
Okay. So we're giving the Wild Turkey 101 Rye a 5.
Yes.
All right, so let's talk about the Old Forester. So even though I don't get a whole lot of rye spice from it, we're not grading the whiskey. We're grading the whiskey and how it makes a cocktail.
Exactly.
So this particular whiskey in the cocktail, I think is very good. I think it's a very well-balanced drink. This is something I would go out and buy a bottle of this, and I would make a Manhattan with this all day long.
Okay.
If I saw that on the shelf at a restaurant, I would order a Manhattan made with that. I think it's very well balanced. It's got some nice sweetness. The Martini Rossi sweet vermouth is not overly sweet, so I just think it's a really good combination.
So so as far as this one goes, I don't know. I've lost my point. Help me.
Don't mind Todd. So I want to know what you think of it. What your grade is. Why don't you tell me what you think first, and then I'll let you know what I think.
Well, we had some underwhelming bourbons last week.
Agreed.
And we gave the highest one a 6. I mean, clearly the Old Forester's above a 6, right?
I agree.
So where do we go from there? I'm guessing it's got to be below 7.
I'd put it high 6s.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do we agree on? 6-9.
Giggity.
See, I was even going there. That was all him.
Yeah. You know what? Might as well be.
Okay.
6.9.
6.9 it is on the bunghole scale.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
So let's get all to the like and subscribe thing.
Oh, yeah, all that stuff. So, Facebook group, we already told you guys about that. If you haven't already joined, we would love to see you guys over there. Feel free to make any comments that you want in the Facebook group. Hopefully, we can get a community of people that love whiskey that are willing to share their knowledge. But as for this video, if you guys haven't already subscribed, we would really appreciate it if you would.
A few moments later.
We appreciate everything that you guys have done for us so far, and let's
close before I drink all this.
All right. Until next time.
Next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We're the Manhattan Project.